Hello, hello. Welcome, E. Hello and welcome. Welcome, E. I'm so excited that you are here. And welcome, viewing audience. Now, currently it is 5 o'clock on the eastern shore of the United States of America, which means it's 2 o'clock on the western shore. So the US people are probably knocked out of sleep, most of you in my community watching this. So you will probably catch this conversation on the replay. Nonetheless, I will introduce myself. Hello, my name is Elle. I'm also known as the Empress of Ease. Today I'm giving like pink fairy swami guru. That's like what I was going
Yes.
for today because I was like, we're gonna get into the nooks and crannies of Ease, how she can make $100 in an hour, or how she can charge $100 an hour for an Ask Me Anything call based on her unique life experiences, expertise, skills, things that she may not necessarily even recognize as something that people will pay her for. And that's what this conversation is about. Now, I'm doing this conversation because on December 21st, which is just in a couple of days, we're recording this on December 17th. So, just in a couple of days, I'm having a group workshop called The Money Machine, where I'm guiding a small group of people through this process. And there are still a few spaces available. So, I will put the link in the description if you want to join us for that call. But in the meantime, I wanted to show the process with people I've never met before. We've never worked together. This is true, E, right? We've never worked
It's true.
together. Okay. So I have no prior knowledge about E's life other than the intake form that she shared with me about her life experience, which we're going to get to in a minute because I had to ask some follow-up questions. Because, okay, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, because I was like, I sound like a scammer. People are going to think that I'm a scammer if I'm saying I can help you create $100 an hour offer. So I said, okay, what can I do instead of just trying to say I'm not a scammer, which makes me sound more like a scammer, is just take people that I've never talked to before, I've never worked with before, and walk them through the process. And by the end of our hour together, they will have their own unique bespoke thing that people will pay them $100 an hour for. So if you are watching this and you are like, I want my own process, you have two options. One, you can join us on December 21st, 2025 for the live group Money Machine Workshop. Or if this is after that and you just want my own one-on-one personal attention, you can sign up for a one-on-one Money Machine call. Both of the links for that are in the description. So in the meantime and in between time, E, would you please introduce yourself and give whatever background you would like to give?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am E. So I am a current city government worker. Um, I am a former high school and elementary teacher, and I am kind of new to Elle's channel, but I've been following her for about 6 months. And
Oh,
yeah, the pink fairy swami thing is going for you, Elle.
thank you. Thank, thank, thank you. I got the sleeves and everything.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very happy that you're here. I'm very happy for our conversation because I feel like everybody, particularly Black women, need to have something in their back pocket that they know people want and they know they can charge for and that people will hire them for. Because I find like we have to find the overlap. There's like things that you want to talk about and do. There are things that people will pay for, and we have to find where that overlaps. And
Right.
most of the time, it's obscure. So, let me say this to you before we even get started in the nooks and crannies. Let me just tell you, it may not be a passion. Okay, I'm not saying this is what you've been dreaming about since you were little, and this is how we're gonna make money from your dreams come true. I'm not. I can't promise you. I can't promise you. I can't. Okay, I don't want to oversell it. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to say that this is like your childhood dreams come true, and this is like the thing. That ain't this. This is something that you can do without another certification, another training, another course, nothing. This is based on everything you already have and everything you already are today. And once we get through this, at the end of our call, you will have something very tangible and concrete that you will be able to say, this is what I do in such an easy and conversational way that people will be like, oh, I need that. That's the feelings we
Okay.
want. Okay. I
Yes.
need that. Or someone going, "Oh, I know someone who needs that." That's what we're going for. Okay. Okay. So I want to begin by just, you said you're currently a government worker, you work for the government, but I want to say a couple of the other things that you shared on your intake form. Now, for if y'all are watching this, I want to say when you fill out your intake form, I need you to be granularly specific. Okay. You got to give me something to work with. You got to give me, because otherwise it's like we don't know each other. I can't make it up, right? So I had to follow up with you and be like, I need a little more data.
And
Tell me a
that's
little
why
bit
I'm
more of your
laughing
business.
because I was like, there's nothing. I can't think of anything.
That's perfect though. That's why it's perfect. Because there are so, that's why I'm saying people thought I was a scammer. That there's so many people, particularly Black women, who are like, there's nothing that anybody would pay me $100 an hour to talk to me about. Like there's nothing, right? So that's why you are perfect, because I want to prove that there, for someone who believes that there was nothing that they could charge and get paid $100 an hour for, that is not the case. So one of the things you said, so you're a government worker, but that's not what I want to focus on today, because I feel like that's a skill. And as you shared in your intake, that once you leave that position, you can't take the data, you can't take the information. So it's a
Right.
skill that you have, but it's not, we can't resource those clients. But something else about you, I want to hear you share a little bit more, is that you're visually impaired
Hmm.
and you have a deep relationship with vegetables.
I
So
do.
I want to, so can you tell me, let's begin first. Can you share a little bit about being visually impaired? Were you born visually impaired? Is it something that has occurred over time? Yeah, let me hear a little bit more about that.
Okay. So I was a preemie and I was born in the middle of December and my mom's due date was April 1st. And so I always say the joke was on me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So um, because of that, I have an eye condition that kind of mimics what older people go through when they get macular degeneration. And so I've always been visually impaired, but it's always been something I could work around. Oh, just get a stronger pair of glasses, get a stronger pair of contacts. And I was okay with that up until about maybe age 35. Out of the blue, I developed glaucoma. And so the macular degeneration affects your central vision. So that's stuff like reading, driving, seeing stuff that's close up to your face. Um, the glaucoma affects your peripheral vision. So stuff off to the side, looking at the corner of your eye. And it's kind of been a double whammy adjusting to having to deal with both. Because before, I could just slap my glasses on and be fine. And now it's kind of like, you need a little bit more training. Like now you actually need to start using a screen magnifier when you get on the computer. If you go out at night, you probably need to be using a white cane just for safety and to let other people know you can't really see. Even though I have a lot of functional vision by the actual eye charts, I'm like 2 steps away from being legally blind.
Okay. Can you
Hmm.
drive?
And no, no, ma'am, absolutely
Okay.
not.
So have you ever driven?
Um, for brief periods as a teenager, even then
Okay.
though, I was not that comfortable because my distance vision was not the best. Like I said, on paper, I should have been able to drive. In practice, no.
Okay. Okay, that makes total sense. And I just want to say, if you are watching this on the replay, please say hi. Please chime in. Just check in where you're writing in from, why you're here, what you're interested in about in this conversation, because I feel like this is very powerful. I think especially, and my grandmother had glaucoma for almost all of my life. She was visually impaired. She really couldn't see much. And I was thinking about her this morning, just because I love her so much. And she always showed me what was possible. She lived in South Central LA by herself or with my uncle who was disabled, blind. So what that set the tone for me for so much in my life. Anyway, so that just, yeah, we're gonna figure
Okay.
this out. Okay, we're gonna figure this out because there's, I think, okay. Anyway, let me. I was about to get on the soapbox. Let me stay focused. Let me stay focused. Okay, so you have been living with compromised eyesight your entire life.
Hmm. Yes.
Okay, okay. So and then tell me about your relationship with vegetables.
Okay. So the joke in my family is that even as a child, I was vegetarian leaning. We would go to McDonald's, me and my little best friend, and our moms would give us a Happy Meal, like the burger. And I was so skinny, and she was a chubby little girl. And I would give her my burger just immediately, like take the patty off and only eat the bread, the cheese, the pickles, and I would eat the fries. And I would just really, it was not for me. Well, then in high school, I met this girl, and she was vegan. And that was so foreign to me that every day I had a new question. Like, so you don't eat this? You don't eat that? Well, what about this? Well, what do you do for this? You don't wear this either? What? And I had so many questions that by the end of it, she had convinced me without meaning to. So at 15, I announced to the family that I was vegetarian now, and they were, looking at me crazy as we are wont to do. And I mean, now I've been vegetarian longer than I've ever eaten meat.
And you've never gone back. You've never waffled.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Just as an aside, another aside, I also became vegetarian when I was 15. I have returned to animals though. Just I
A
was
lot of
vegetarian, then I
people
was
do.
vegan, then I
Hmm.
was raw food. I'd done a lot of different things, but then I
Anyway,
tasted chicken and I was like, this is what I've been missing all this time. This is amazing. So, but I understand you've stayed strong. You've stayed the path. So this is and another thing that you mentioned in your intake, because I'm combined in my first idea, and we're going to flesh this out and see if it resonates with you at all. But my one other thing that you mentioned in your intake was that you're really good at kind of perfecting things, seeing the flaws, seeing where things aren't quite right. You said other people call it nitpicking, which to me has a negative connotation. I
they
think it's
do.
calling it's I think it's calling evolving. You improve. You're an improvement specialist. That's what I
I
would
try
say.
to be. They don't see it that way. Like I'm just
I'm
trying to
gonna
help
tell you
y'all
why,
out here.
but I'll tell you why they don't see it this way because this is what we're getting into. Because they don't have the need, they don't recognize the need for what you're fixing, what you're improving. But that skill is not a throwaway skill. That's actually incredible because there are people out there who want things improved and want things to be better. They just don't know you exist yet. So
Mm,
we're combining that skill with other skills. Like that's not something, it's just we're not what's the Bible say? Don't cast your pearls before swine, right? We're not
mm,
giving that to people who don't appreciate your attention to detail. Like and your perfection commitment. If they don't appreciate it, then they're not your right people, especially not your right clientele. But there are people out there who don't, who I say value detail, value perfection. And what I want to get to is who actually can't afford to not, and I don't mean financially, I mean whatever the consequences are, can't afford for it not to be perfect. That's who your ideal client is. They
okay.
actually need perfection. They need the details. They need all of the I's crossed and all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So all those haterations, we're ignoring them because they're not relevant to this this conversation. Okay. Okay. So I'm thinking that my first thought when I was reading your intake and even talking about you today was there is people who are new to and or unsatisfied with their lifestyle being visually impaired. They haven't figured out how to function. And my guess is it's people who are newly visually impaired, not people like you who've been figuring it out their whole lives. They know, but like my grandma, as in my example, she had her vision until she was in her 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And she refused to go to Braille class, refused. She was like, I'm a sighted woman. She was not a sighted woman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't want the identity of not having, she couldn't accept that identity. So she was living, she was willful, very, very strong will, Scorpio, Sagittarius. You're Sagittarius? You're
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio. Sagittarius?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My grandma. Okay. Okay. Anyway. So, right. So strong will. She's like, so I think part of this is this identity of like, I'm a sighted person. I'm not going to act like I'm not a sighted person, which worked for her in some ways. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You've been there. So that is a gold mine of experience. Okay. I got this the other day. I'm just going to show you. Can you see? It's like a little suitcase. It's a suitcase with gold bars in it. This is your experience. This is like all of your life experiences. They're like miniature gold bars. This is your life experience. It's cute. See, a little pink suitcase. I'm in my pink era. So this is the word. So being considered a nitpicker, that's a gold bar, right? Being visually impaired your entire life, that's a gold bar. Like you have treasures. It's just how are we talking about it? Because like you said, you understand that experience going from like, I don't want to identify as a visually impaired person. You're not the only one out of 8 billion people on the planet who has, who's visually impaired, who feels that way. So I think part of your gift is naming that. Are you a newly visually impaired person who does not want to be visually impaired, who's resentful, who's angry, who wishes, why me? Whatever, right? You know that internal dialogue. That's what you're leading with. Because there are people out there who are ashamed, embarrassed, who don't feel confident yet, who are terrified, actually. Terrified. Because what happens when the world goes dark? That's a terrifying thought for most sighted people, right? Like we don't live in a world that accommodates that.
Right.
We don't. So that is what I think is that's the larger in the funnel. That's your first demographic. So it's people who are visually impaired, but they're new to visually impaired. They don't know the ways of the world, right? Like they don't know that. So they need some accommodation for that. And that I think includes your vegetable love, but also like what is the lifestyle? Like what accommodations do you need to make? How do you adapt to a kitchen? How do you adapt to chopping vegetables? How do you adapt to getting around? Like how, right? Because the doctor is going to give you a diagnosis.
And then
be like, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the problem. And I had to go back to the doctors and say, okay, so you've said this and you've said that. Where does that leave me? And what am I supposed to do? And if you don't have sense enough to ask that, yeah, like you said, you are going to be stuck.
And that's where you come in. That's where you come in. Because you're the gap. The doctors are like, oh no, girl, figure it out. Right? Like they're like, that's not my job.
They don't know.
But you know who knows? You know. You know. So when somebody gets this diagnosis and they're terrified and they're scared out of their mind and they don't know what to do and they don't have any friends who are visually impaired, they don't have any family, no one understands them. They feel so isolated. They feel so alone. They're just Googling, right? I'm going to go blind. What the hell am I supposed to do?
Yep.
Your face pops up. Boop. Have you recently? Let's talk about it. I'm going to share with you my lifetime of experience. I'm going to give you resources. I'm going to give you tools. You can ask me anything about my experience. If you need help planning your meals, how to grocery, that's where you come in, because you have well over a wellspring of knowledge and a lifetime of experience, and not just the tactical strategic parts, right? But the like emotional understanding of that.
Mm-hmm.
How is that landing?
Yeah, I've kind of thought about that before and dismissed it in the past, just because, you kind of think like you need some qualifications to say, oh, well, I can help you because I'm this, because you know,
You do not, because you're not saying I'm a eye surgeon. You're not saying you're gonna, fix their vision, quote unquote. You're saying I'm a hand to hold during this process. You don't have to be alone, actually. I get that no one in your life understands this, but I do. This is a huge opportunity, because I saw you nodding when I was like, your friends don't get it, your family doesn't get it, right? You get it though. And
hmm
and that is the balm. That is going to drop so many defenses for people, right? You have nothing to like, you don't, that is your qualification.
hmm
That's it. That, because what else would you, as we said, people who went to medical school for years don't get it. They couldn't speak to your experience of being visually impaired your entire life, and it
right.
changing at 35 or in your
hmm
30s, right? Like,
hmm
so not only you lived for 3.5 decades, you said 35 or 30?
Yeah, I was 35 when I got glaucoma.
35. So you lived for 3.5 decades with your vision impaired, and then got another level of that impacted your peripheral vision on top of that. Yeah, people need to talk to you. And I don't mean, this is why I $100. Yes. If someone got this diagnosis and they are terrified, they're scared, they're isolated, and they're alone, and they see your beautiful face pop up, they are going to hand you money so fast, because who else would they talk to?
Mm,
Even their
yeah,
therapist doesn't get it, right? Like,
that's true too. Yes,
right? Like,
that's
you
true.
are the, you are the, what's the light in the storm? What's the thing that, you know what I'm saying?
I
The
know what you
something in the
mean.
storm. Yes. That's you. That's you. And you're going to give relief to people. And again, do not do this for free. This is not volunteering. This is not, this is you can charge $100 an hour for this experience. And this is what I was referring to when I said there are people who need you to dot the I's and cross the T's. Hello, welcome. Thank you. Welcome to the conversation. Hold on, let me put on my spectacles so I can read. I
hmm
saw, hello, the luxury bucket list. Welcome. Glad you're here. So this is what I mean, right? Like, they're happily going to pay you $100 an hour to talk to you, because it meets an emotional need. It
hmm
meets a physical need. It meets a long-term need. People are going to be so happy. And again, you don't have to make it up. You don't have to research nothing. You don't have to Google nothing. You know everything, because you live it every day.
Yeah, that's true.
So how is this landing?
Yeah, I feel like I could do this. I do. Yeah.
Okay. So, this is what I was saying. The dotting your I's and crossing your T's, that what people have misnamed nitpicking,
hmm
we're reframing that. We're reframing it, because for people who have lost their vision, cannot afford for things to slip through the cracks.
hmm
Literally,
Or you're
literally,
gonna
it's
be the
life or
one
death.
slipping through the cracks. Yes.
This is what I'm saying to you. I'm getting hot and bothered. Hold on, let me calm down. Let me calm down. This is what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. Those other people who are trying to say that are irrelevant. This is an actual skill that you need to have these conversations, because this isn't like, man, well, do what you feel. It doesn't go with the flow. No, boo.
Hmm.
No, because no, you don't want to chop off something or walk into something or not pay attention to whatever this, the things are that people
Right.
need to be dotting their I's and crossing their T's with. You know that. Right? Like, this is just an example from my experience with my grandmother, who, again, if you're just joining us, E is joining us for finding where she can charge $100 an hour for an Ask Me Anything call. We are mining her life, her skills, her experiences, and we're creating an Ask Me Anything offer that people will pay $100 an hour for. One of the things that we're tapping into is that E is visually impaired and has been for her entire life. And at the age of 35, got a second diagnosis that affected her peripheral vision as well as her central vision. My grandmother was also visually impaired, love her so much. And she lived in South Central LA with my uncle, who was disabled, and would walk to the laundromat, walk to the grocery store. My grandma was outside, okay? Because it was outside. But this goes back to the dotting the I's and crossing the T's, because again, I was not visually impaired. I was not clocking details. And so when we would walk to Ralph's grocery store, arm in arm, right? My grandma had her cane, arm in arm. I wasn't always paying attention to curbs. And so sometimes I would not say, "Oh, walk up, step down," because
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
wasn't a child, not
Yeah. Yeah.
clocking the details. And
Yes.
my grandma would bump into curbs and had fallen on because of my negligence,
Hmm.
right? Because I wasn't paying attention. And so I'm saying dotting the I's and crossing the T's is essential. I mean, you know this, but people
Hmm.
who are dealing with all that emotional processing around the news aren't necessarily clocking all the things that they're also going to be needing to pay attention to. And they need a voice of calm experience in the storm, who's going to reassure them that it's not the end of the world, reassure them that they're not going to, you know, it's not the worst case scenario. But
Right.
so what's percolating?
I have thought about this before. I just, like you said, did not think anybody would pay for that.
They would. And you know what else? This is recorded, so you can watch it back, because I know I go really fast and sometimes, and I talk a lot. I talk really fast. But you know what else? People are going to pay for support groups. You
Mm,
can do one-on-one calls, and you can do groups where you're like, let's get in a whole bunch of us in not a whole bunch, but whatever
yeah.
the
Hmm.
appropriate amount is. And let's be in this conversation together. You're not alone. You're not isolated. Let's share resources. You pay me, right? This is, again, because Black women love to volunteer. This is not volunteering, friends. Okay, this is not what I'm talking about. Okay, this is this is not that. This ain't that. Okay, pay me some money to gather us, and then you tell me how this makes sense, right? I feel like then it's like stronger in numbers,
Hmm.
because you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, tell me how that lands.
So that makes a lot of sense. Um, and I do know, after I went back to the doctor, they eventually referred me to a school in the community who has a low vision center. But again, had I not pressed the doctors and kept pressing them, this place was like 20 minutes away from me, and I had literally no idea. So if I didn't know, and I have been visually impaired in living care majority of my life, I know other people don't know. And so when I got to this center, we were like in a classroom setting. So they operated us in a cohort. And the other people said they didn't know anything about it either. They had never heard anything about it. Most of them were new to vision loss, you know, and so that
Exactly.
makes a lot of sense. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. You don't know what you don't know. Exactly. And the fact that they were new to vision loss is exactly why I'm saying that's your target audience. Not
Mm-hmm.
people who've been living it with their whole life. That people who, because that's the scary part, because you think your life is over, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what am I going to do when the world goes dark? So I want to, we can flesh this out a little bit more, but I want to transition into how you're going to start talking about this, how you're going to start sharing this. Because if the doctors don't know and the resources aren't front and center, or the doctors aren't telling you, or whatever their ridiculous
Mm-hmm.
hang up is, right? And the people are going to be at Google. People are
Yeah.
going to be on TikTok. People are going to be on YouTube. They're like, well, the doctor's not telling me. I got to figure it out myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you show up. That's where you are. And I would invite you to create a YouTube channel or a podcast. You would know kind of better what people are consuming. Like if they watch YouTube, I don't know, but and maybe it's both. But this is where you start. Now, my approach to this is we're not making a YouTube career. Like that's not the point of it. It's just hanging out your shingle so that when people get this news and they start trying to figure out who can support them, you are there. And so the
Mm-hmm.
first, we would just want to lay a baseline of expertise. That's the way I think about it. Lay a baseline of expertise. And so, what are the first 5 questions that people are going to be asking themselves when they get this information? What do you think comes up for people?
What does this mean? Because the doctor says these words and you don't even know what it is. Like I said in the beginning when I was telling you about the vision loss, um, my retinal specialist had never said to me in the same sentence, macular and degeneration. So when he finally said it, probably like 5 years ago, even though I had been Googling, I was like, "Tuh, what do you mean?" And he was looking at me like, "Tuh, what do you mean? How don't you know? You've been coming here for 20 years. So you don't, they assume that you know more than what you know, even if you are an educated patient. So they tell you you have this, you don't even know what that means. That's the
So
first thing.
that's huge. And that's multiple podcast episodes slash YouTube. They can be the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your doctor says you have A, B, and C. What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean? Your doctor didn't say that you have this, but you have these symptoms. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the foundation, right? Like that, because that's what people want to know. So
Yeah.
once they kind of have that lay of the land, what's the next questions that they're asking themselves?
Like, what does this mean for my life? Like, and it depends on how old you are when you get diagnosed. If you're working, are you going to be able to keep working? If you are, like you said with your grandmother, if you live alone, are you going to be able to keep living alone? How, okay, they said you have this. Does that mean I'm going to go blind? And usually they'll be real quick to tell you no. But like even if their no is a no, and even if by the charts you are not going to be blind, in the blind community now, blindness is now thought of as a spectrum, the same way that we see autism. So even if by looking at the eye chart, you are not legally blind, if you're close to it and you don't have a lot of functional vision, you may need some of the same resources that somebody that's legally blind does.
And
And
those are conversations you need to have.
it's so much easier to get started with that if you still have a little bit of vision left. Because once you don't have anything or you don't have a lot of functional vision, it's a lot harder to pick that kind of stuff up.
E. Okay, sorry, I'm yelling at you. I'm so excited. Sorry. Let me stop yelling. That's huge. That's a whole section. That's a section. Have you been diagnosed with so-and-so, but you still have your vision? What to do, what to focus on, what to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's a gold mine. Because if the doctors aren't telling you and it's time sensitive, people don't even know it's time sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't know how much time they have.
Right. Right.
That's a conversation. That's what you need to be. This is what I'm saying. When you send me an email talking about nothing, I said, I don't believe it. That's not true. It's not true. No. Mm-mm. Right. You have so much information, so much knowledge, so much life experience, so many skills that's I think part of what, and this is for the audience too, as you're watching this and you're thinking through your own process, what the division you have to make in your brain, you have to make it in your brain, is regular people are irrelevant. This is what you have to do. Regular people are irrelevant, because if people are telling you, that your experience dotting I's and crossing T's and that your experience being visually impaired is just normal, it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying regular, not people with vision. I'm just saying like people who aren't your target audience, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't get it. They don't get it. So they're irrelevant. You're not trying to convince them. You're not trying to teach them. You're not trying to handhold them. They're irrelevant. Who is relevant? The other side of the brain, people who need this, because you're the most relevant thing to them. You're the life raft to them in an ocean. You are a lifesaver to them because no one else sees them, no one else understands them, and you are the most relevant person because you get it in a lived way. So all the other people who don't get it, yeah. And they're also not going to pay you $100 to talk to you about it because they're like, whatever. But the people are frantically looking for someone who can help walk them through this. Frantically. Especially because it's time sensitive. The luxury bucket list says, I bet it's scary to lose your sight and have guidance, and having guidance would help. I would think there would be value in cultivating a group of folks that get together, perhaps a subscription service. Boom shakalaka.
Okay.
Boom shakalaka. Because once you start doing that, I totally agree. Once you start doing that and actually building community, y'all could be doing things in the world too. You can go on trips. You don't you can do things together that people, because I think, and again, I told you my grandma was very strong-willed. She won't gonna let nothing slow her down. But I know everybody's not like that. And some people feel like, oh, my life is over. I can't travel anymore. I can't do the things I want to do. Right?
Yes.
So you can help them figure that out. But also in the bigger picture, if you wanted to plan things like group excursions where people pay you. Hey, I'm just hammering it home. Okay. Right? This is important. Right? This, and we're not getting, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Like that's further down. But right now, if you hang out okay, I want to go back to how you're marketing this. You could keep fleshing out these questions and the podcast episodes / YouTube videos, because again, you can do it the same thing for both channels. It doesn't need to be extensive. It's not like a 45-minute deep dive into what happens with the eyeball no, this is 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, quick pocket information. People want the information, and your call to action at the end of every video or podcast episode is If you would like some personal support figuring this out with someone who has a lifetime of experience navigating the world, and my world has not ended, sign up for a one-on-one call with me. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Because it's true. You're not, and this is why it's not salesy, quote unquote, because you're not selling, you're just inviting them to have a conversation with you based on something you already know. Talking to people who already need it.
Yes.
How does this
Okay.
land? Are you
That
processing
sounds good.
internally?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's every call. If you want, because what happens, I've been in business for a long time. And what happens is that you can put out as much information as humanly possible, because there's this fear that what if I start giving away the paid stuff for free? I don't want you to worry about that, because people are always going to say, but what about me? What about my experience? My experience is different. That's so you can say as much as you want, and people are going to go, but I want her to talk to me. I want my questions for my predicament. And that's when they're going to call you and give you $100, at least $100. You could charge more if you want to, but at least $100 to answer this question for you. Answer these questions for you to answer these questions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
It does.
Okay. Any questions coming up? Anything you want I can flesh out for you? Anything that feels uncertain?
Okay. So you said start with the YouTube or the podcast. Go down the line of like those 5 questions and what that would entail, and then have a call to action. And then, am I leaving it like that, or do I need to keep
Yeah.
making more videos?
I would
What's the
do
next step in the marketing?
I would do a baseline of 5 to 8, and I would do YouTube videos, because YouTube is
Mm-hmm.
owned by Google. So
Mm-hmm.
that means Google's going to put you out there and YouTube's going to put you out there. But if you
Mm-hmm.
do Spotify for creators, that's what I use for my podcast. I have like several podcasts. If you do Spotify for creators, you can do video, then it's on Spotify, the app.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can use video, that same YouTube video, and you can put audio on Spotify for creators. And there's a thing called an RSS feed, which is basically your podcast home. So, and then on your YouTube channel, you can have a pod. So it's like you're cross-pollinating. So on your podcast, you have your YouTube, your videos and your audio. And on your YouTube, you have your videos and your audio. So both channels have all of the thing, but it's the same. The video and the audio are the same.
Right. Okay.
So then I would do a foundational 5 to 8 of those video audio, covering the baseline questions, like things everybody needs to know. Everybody who's going to call you. So one way to think about it is everybody needs to know this. But the other way to think about it is, what do I want everyone to know before they get on a call with me? In other words, I don't want to answer the same questions over and over and over again. So what do I want to make sure we get out the way? So by the time they call me, we can get into the nitty gritty. We can get into the nooks and crannies. So that's, and so as more stuff, because I'm sure you could do a million episodes of different things. So you might want to do more, but I would at least begin with 5 to 8 so that people have a good lay of the land. And then you could go, more detailed. Like we said, if you've been diagnosed with A, B, and C, this is what you need to know. Because that's more narrow, more narrow and specific, but do those too. But start with the foundation. And then you could go, if you are between the ages of 0 and 20 or 0 and 15, if you're between 15 and 20, whatever the ages are that things start to shift. That's another, because people are getting these diagnoses every day at different ages.
Yeah.
So they need people who talk to them, and you have a gold mine because you've been all these ages, right? elders yet, but like
Yeah.
you can talk to the 15-year-old, you can talk to the 20-year-old, you can talk, what's it like dating visually impaired, right? Like you can, people have these questions.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those things. And then the call to action, if you want to go further, if you want some support, if you want some personalized guidance, let's talk.
Okay.
What other questions or comments, concerns?
I'm just trying to think of like what else I would need to do to get it off the ground.
So you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to. You could start an email list if you wanted to, but we're not making, I'm making this face because I have an email list and sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm saying you don't need to too is because in such a hyper niche focus, you're not necessarily right now. In the future, maybe there'll be other things to do, but right now you're not building a whole business infrastructure around this, right? You're just selling, offering, inviting, ask me anything calls. So you don't need a website and So you would need a way to get paid. So these are things. Okay, this is good. You would need a way to schedule the calls. So I use Acuity, which I love. I've been using Acuity forever, but you could use Calendly. Like there are lots of different things that people use, and a way to get paid. And most of the schedulers have a way to get paid baked in. So once you can connect your PayPal or your Stripe or your whatever to your scheduler. So that's the link. The link goes to your scheduler. It's your call to action. You want to talk to me one-on-one, the link that goes to and that's it. So I wouldn't overthink it at all because they're not looking for a 3-month coaching consulting packet. No, it's urgent for them, right? It's like, I need to talk to someone today because I'm terrified.
Right.
So you don't need a whole bunch of bells and whistles. They're going to find you.
That's reassuring.
Oh yeah. Rest assured, please. They're going to find you. And this is why I say start with 5 to 8. And this is, if I'm going to break it down a little bit more, as you're creating your library for your platform, I would put the first 3 episodes out first. Okay. And then you could do 1 a week or 2 a week or however you want to do it. I know it's early in the morning. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So start with 3 because what's going to happen is they're going to binge, right? They're going to, what else does she have to say? I want to know. So start with 3 so you give them something to sink their teeth into, and then you can start doing it once, however often, but I would do it regularly, right? Like once a week, once every 2, something that they can depend on. Because again, the key to this niche is they are newly found out. That's who you're targeting with this call. Now, if you want to, if we're looking at the long game, flesh this out into a full throttle business, the people who are going to be your clients are the people who signed up for this one-on-one Ask Me Anything call. The people who are going to come to your community, who are going to join your packages, who are going to go on your trips, are people who are like, you know what, girl, I was terrified. And you offered that Ask Me Anything call, and I've been with you ever since because you knew what you were talking about. You made me feel safe. You made me feel less scared. And now we in Greece eating kebabs. And I didn't even think I was going to leave the country because I thought my life was over, right? Like, and now I'm rocking with you because you changed my life. That's what people are going to be saying to you. You changed my life. I thought I had a prison sentence and you changed my life. That's what people are going to be saying to you. So,
wow.
Any other questions? I want to make sure you feel fully fleshed out and complete today. So,
no, this makes a ton of sense. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I know we have a few folks watching still. Do you have any questions for E? Do you have any questions for me? as we are wrapping up. So I will invite you all, if you would like to go through your own process that you just went through and you would like to figure out where your life experience, you're sitting on $100 that someone will happily, you see, happily, we figured out her super niche that people will happily pay her $100 an hour for. And I would like to again reiterate for the record, in E's intake form, not one, but 2 questions. When I asked her, what can she talk about? She said nothing. Literally, I'm not saying she said nothing. The word on the intake was nothing in multiple questions. Okay. And we know that's not true. So if you are sitting here and being like, yeah, that works for her because that was so easy for her, but there's nothing in my life.
I said that the first one. I said, oh, that was so obvious. Duh.
Okay. So someone watching this right now is like, that is so obvious. Duh. But it's not obvious to you if you're living it. That's not. Right. It's not. Will you talk about that a little bit more? Because I don't want people to think that it was obvious to you in this conversation. I mean, I know you said it was on your brain, but can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Talk about
the obvious part, like how you thought it was obvious for the other person.
So the other person, and I looked at that last video, and when she started talking about the CPAP, and I was like, I bet you her idea is going to be something about healthcare or a CPAP. Like she sounds like a nurse or a respiratory therapist. It's going to be something like that. And when she kept talking about the CPAP, I was like, that makes so much sense. She probably could tell you whatever you needed to know. She can talk about this all day. This is it right here. While you were saying, oh, this is it, and this is what you need to do, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So there is a little, method to my madness because the intake form is long. I do ask questions that may seem obvious to you, but I don't know you, right? Like I need to know. And the way I listen and the way I ask questions is it's a process. I've been doing this for a long time, right? So I do have experience doing this, but if you're living in it, it is not obvious to you because you take it for granted, right? It's just like, this is my life. This is just how I live. It's not that big of a deal. Anybody could do this. No, anybody could not do this. And they will pay you $100 an hour because they cannot do this. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
Yeah. You got
I
this.
never thought about it like that, but yeah, that's true.
Which part? You never thought about which part?
They will pay you the $100 because they can't do it.
That's right. Because if they did, they would be doing it. But and this is why the transition part is so important because, okay, for you, I'm going to flesh this out just a teeny bit more because it's 2 tiers, right? Not for the Ask Me Anything call, but if we're going to map this out into a bigger business, it is going to be 2 tiers, right? But this is why the transition part, because they have no idea. It's not even they don't have a point of reference. This isn't something that was passed down for the most part, in their they don't have family members to so they don't know. This is not something that they can refer back to in their youth. No, they can't. They literally cannot. And even the people of authority and information, like their doctors, are not helpful. So you stand in the gap.
It's very wait and see. Wait and see, and we'll see you in 6 months. Okay, we'll see you in a year. You're the same as you were last year. See you next year.
No, that's another episode. That's another episode. Have you been told to wait and see? And you're terrified and whatever. That's an episode. Because part of the conversation is that people need to have conversations. They need to feel less alone. Yeah. That's a huge emotional need of your target audience. They need to feel less alone. And so you're talking to their emotionally, the doorway is the physical needs, but the conversation is the emotional needs. Strategy too, right? Like how to do this, how to not do that, like the practical, that's part of it. Right. But you're meeting an emotional need that no one even knows exists. No one even knows unless you've lived it.
Yeah.
That's that's your golden ticket. And the second layer is like, I feel like if you decided, because I feel like you can make a lot of money from this and you could have a very strong business model from this. If you decided to do that, your second tier of clients are people who have been living with visual impairment and still feel like outsiders in their lives
Mm-hmm.
because they're the only one in the friend group, the only
Mm-hmm.
one in the family, the only one at church, the only one, right? And they're tired of being the only one.
Oh yeah, because I'm the only one.
See, I'm good. I'm good.
You are. You are
I know what
excellent.
I know what I'm doing. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Again, for the record, this is our first conversation. We've never talked before. E has not told me any of this. This is
No,
okay. This is why I got my Swami guru. Okay. This is why I got my Swami on. Okay.
because she is the
Okay.
guru.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, my darling. It is, as you can see, the sun is going down in Bangkok. So I'm about to now I look like I'm like over a crystal ball. Any more questions? Anything you would like to flesh out, or anything you would like clarity about?
No, this has been so helpful. Thank you so much, Elle.
Okay,
I really
you're so
appreciate
welcome,
this.
E. You're so welcome. And if
Thank
you're
you so
watching this and you
much.
would like to, you're so welcome. I'm so glad it was helpful. I'm so glad. And if you are watching this and you would like to join us for our group workshop, group money machine workshop, where we work through this exact process in a small group, join us on December 21st. The link is below. And if you're like, girl, I don't want a group, I want to talk to you one-on-one, the link below is also below for a one-on-one money machine call, just like this, except it will be private. It will not be for the YouTube world. It'll be private. So join us. But thank you again, E, for being here. I look forward to seeing you out and about sharing your services.
Will do.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Let me